live stream, please? Ah, you read my mind.
It just needs a few seconds for it to get going.
Hiya.
Yeah, good evening.
Hello.
Right, that should be live streaming.
Okay. Right, good evening, everyone. Item 1 on the agenda. Welcome to note this working party has no delegated authority and may only make recommendations to the full council. Urgent actions may be taken under delegated authority given to the clerk and to me, the chair. Thank you. Item 2, apologies for absence. Vicky, please.
Yes, councillors Davidson and Crooks.
Okay, is there any other apologies from anyone? No? Okay. Sorry, who's that speaking? Is that Councillor Smith? No? Who's that?
I think that was your voice coming back through Colin's. Someone is monitoring the live feed. Colin's admitting liability there, I think.
Right, okay. Right, item 3, declarations of pecuniary interest and request for dispensation. I've got one. I'll just get my notes up. I've got a pecuniary interest on application 1, I should say, of item 7, which is DC 212248, and it's because the reason is because I'm a paid invigilator by Samuel Ward Academy. I would like to speak in support of this application and not take part in any discussion or vote. I'm afraid, Tony, you'll have to take over that particular point. Okay, thank you very much. Back to the agenda. Is there any other declarations of interest? No? Okay. Item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. To approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 7th December 2021. May I sign these as a true record? Can I have a proposer? Councillor Tony Brown. Have a seconder, please. Councillor Alan Sixcombe. All those in favour, please show. Okay, that's 3. The reason I'm not, because I wasn't there, so but I suppose I could still do it. Yeah, I could still do it because I've read them. Okay, right. Minutes, I'll just get these minutes up. Oh, you're going to get them. Good. That's lovely. Right, this is page. Yeah, my minutes never show the pages numbers for some reason. Okay, can I go down, please, Vicky or Colin? A bit more. It's 262, right? Okay, thank you. 263.
Pat's gone.
Apologies for that. 264, please.
Councillor Burns would like to speak.
Oh, sorry, Pat.
Apologies for that.
That's why you walked away as I was raising my hand.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's my dog.
Just on 219 there, on whatever page that is.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that demolition continued. Demolition is the demolition required to allow the planning application to continue has been done. So the planning permission is still extant.
Okay.
So it's not because they're not planning to demolish anything else. They're planning to convert it now.
Yeah, they just demolished the back part, didn't they? Bit of
I
the
thought,
back.
yeah, and that's just to meet the requirements to keep the planning permission alive.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that.
Should we amend the word demolition to read? I had another D word in my mind. It's gone. Development. That's another D word.
Yeah,
Does
I
that
think he's
work?
frozen.
Demolition continue as a development has been.
Oh, you've all frozen. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Oh, right. You all froze then that particular time.
Yeah.
Right. Did you say something, Councillor Stitchcombe? Because I didn't
I
hear
was
it.
proposing to alter the word demolition to development, if that's a simple way of amending the minutes.
Do you agree with that, Councillor Burns?
Yeah, although you got development twice in the same sentence.
Well, development can continue as it is deemed to have started. We don't have to say that's. Well, do we need to?
That's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, Vicky, you got that? Yeah. Next page, please.
Yes, I have, yeah.
Okay, next page, please. Okay, next page. Indices. It's still ongoing. Next page.
That's the end.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm not sure why that is headed Appendix 2 because I can't see an Appendix 1.
Appendix 1 is generally this page. The
Right.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, top left-hand corner.
And if we go back to the very first page, 262, I see there's a string of 3 question marks.
Okay, yeah, I'll fill that bit in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is everyone okay with that? Because item 4, we got matters arising from those minutes. Is there any matters arising?
That was matters arising, Chair.
Okay, yeah, we had the previous minutes and then the matters arising. Okay, yeah. Okay, item 6.
Do we need a proposer?
Oh yes, it's a good idea.
Subject to amendment.
Yeah. Can I have a proposer for the amendment or amendments? Councillor Stitchcombe is first and Councillor Brown is seconded it. Okay. Thank
And
you,
vote.
sir. All those in favour, please show. Yeah, all in favour. Item 6, sorry. The members of the public to speak, is there members of the public? No, none at all. Okay, item 7, to consider planning applications. I will invite members of, but the public, no
You
members
would.
of the public here. So anyway, what I shall do is I shall do my bit first, and then I will hand over to the deputy. Wait a minute. Deputy Chair to take over. So I'm just going to say my bit first. This item will be would be a great asset for A-level students who want to go to sixth form and not travel out of Haverhill, as well as to help stay in Haverhill when they have completed their education. There are seminar rooms, meeting rooms, front office block and cafe, engineering and much needed to the present room, an art classroom. Also a music block with extended stage and drama facilities. Also to be used by the general public, the community. They've got a lovely circular courtyard and canopied roof, associated landscaping, including enclosed sixth form garden and solar panels to all the roofing. Thank you for that. I will hand over to Councillor Brown and I will mute.
Yeah, thanks very much, Pat. Would anyone else like to speak? Councillor Burns.
Thank you. Number of things. I noticed on their design and access statement, I mean, I went to the consultation and I know others went later on when we held our council meeting up there, but I went to the actual consultation back in September. Slightly concerned about their statement on page 6 of their design and access statement, where it says myself and Councillor Lucarini were generally supportive of the endeavours. Yes, we were. You know, it's anything that enhances a school is very good. But then it went on and said, I raised the possibility of joint funding for the theatre refurbishment from the town council, who are also looking to provide a new venue in town. That's not what I said. I said what I'd be very concerned about is enlarging the drama studio such that it affected the ability of the town council to progress any enhancements to its own theatre experience in town, and that we shouldn't be in competition, we should be complementary to each other. I didn't fill out any comments forms or anything like that, but Councillor Lucarini was with me at the time and we both said, so I'm a little bit concerned they're taking things out of context slightly there. A couple of other things, or three things actually. One is, of course, this is right in the middle of the school, so it's not going to be really visible from anywhere. So from a look and feel point of view, somebody in Churchill Avenue has quite correctly said that the land where the two buildings were demolished, which is now green area, it's all been grassed over and everything else, but they're going to build on it, was actually specified by Sport England 4 years ago that it had to be retained for recreational use, such as sport facilities. And that resident quite correctly has said, well, that seems to have been relegated on. And I've been back and looked at all the planning documents, and I remember it at the time, is because they built the Block D on a play area, you know, on a sports pitch. And one of the agreements was they would compensate that loss of land by elsewhere. So I'm not certain why Samuel Ward have decided they're going to ignore that comments by Sport England, which was very strong by them. And even the planning officer at the time said that, you know, this is, in theory, should be one of the conditions. So that's a problem. But the other thing I think that's got to be very important on this is the construction management plan. Great Willsey, you know, Redrow, have had to sign all kinds of and do an intensive construction management plan for heavy goods vehicles coming down Chalkstone Way. And we all know the only entrance into this site is via the front entrance onto Chalkstone Way, until at such point the Spline Road is built on the north of the site. But even then, that probably won't be used for this because of its proximity to the Churchill School. So I think they need to, as part of any conditions, they will do a construction management plan, but it has to be as comprehensive as the one for the Great Willsey, because what we don't want is HGVs coming along Chalkstone Way at 8:30 in the morning when kids are trying to go into the school site. You know, it's bad enough there now. We already know that, you know, it could take 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get past that school quite often, with parents seem to be totally oblivious of the highway code and literally double parking in the middle of Chalkstone Way, as I saw one person the other week. So I think that's very important. The actual design and everything of the thing, yeah, okay. I mean, I know they've done it about in the Ruffles meal, but I think, as Councillor Hanlon said, it's more important about what's being included in the buildings rather than necessarily how they're going to look. The drama studio, you know, is probably not fit for purpose. It's certainly not fit for purpose inside. But I would also be concerned, and the resident up in Churchill Avenue again is quite correct, is that if you've got a concert or anything else going on in that drama studio, you can hear it plainly outside easily. It's not insulated. The doors are pretty poor. You know, I've been up there many times to film and everything, and I know how bad they are. So I think, as anything, that needs to be highlighted as well, is the sound insulation from that and any other buildings, because Churchill, you know, Avenue is only just up the road, and you know, we get numerous complaints from places like the New Croft about the noise that's going over there. So I would like that included if that's possible for the committee. Thank you.
Hey, John. Alan?
Thank you, Chair. Sound insulation should be covered by building regs from inside to out. So I don't think we have to worry, but I mean, you know, there's no harm in making a comment, is there? I don't see how, I'm not really, what I'm saying is I don't really see how planning can get a handle on the quality of the construction of the building.
Can I just come back?
Yeah,
it's a material consideration for neighbour amenity, for planning regulations. The actual insulation obviously is definitely a building reg, but it has to be taken into account that you don't inconvenience neighbours. But it's all they're planning to do is just expand the internal. They're not planning to knock it down or rebuild it or anything like that. It's just basically knocking a couple of internal walls down. So they have to be conscious of that in terms of the sound. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Smith, Dave.
So they're saying that they plan to use this for the public, the hall for public events as well. But if they don't use, sorry, they don't use it at the moment, I'm guessing they don't have public people hire the place to use for performances, I'm guessing. So this is going to be something new. Is there going to be people coming and going all times of the day and night to events? Because that would cause an additional problem to neighbours, I would have thought. So is there a call perhaps for some sort of acoustic fence along the side there? Would that be possible?
Thanks. John? You're muted, John.
Sorry, the only events I do know, I mean, people do hire the hall, but normally during the day, but mostly just for meetings and things like that. I'm not aware of other than school events that go, you know, like concerts or shows or whatever, like they're going to plan to do Oliver in March, for example. Whether they do it or not is another matter. So I'm not certain that they actually do things like that. I think it's more the fact that I know, for example, the back door to the place where, you know, I unload all equipment in there is just a single, very flimsy wooden door. And it's got no sound, and often it's left open because of air ventilation in there is not brilliant. And I think that's one of the big problems with noise.
Okay. If everyone else had a say, I'll have a quick few words. Yeah, obviously the town's expanded by another 10,000 people over the next few years. Yeah, I think this would complement existing venues in the town. Yeah, I think it'd be a great asset to the school, to the town generally. Yeah, John's very correct around the construction management plan. That definitely needs to be emphasised, and its cumulative effect with the Red Road development. We've got a huge development going on there. Chalkstone Way I've been down there a few times recently. It's, you know, it's absolute chaos. You know, so yeah, we do need to emphasise that. And obviously, the sound insulation again. I think, yeah, something worthwhile, you know, emphasising our concerns that it's to the highest standard. But I think personally, it's something that we should support. You know, I'm actually, you know, willing to propose that we support it as a town council with those comments. So I am going to propose support. Do we have any seconders for that? No. Dave? Dave? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'll second it. As I say, we need to sort of make a few comments on there.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got a proposer and a seconder for support. Can I have a show of hands, please, with the comments that, you know, we've raised? Have you got most of those, Vicky?
Yeah, so it basically be the construction management plan, the accumulative effect with Red Row, obviously included in that, and the sound, acoustics, etc. I've got all that. Was there anything?
Go back to John.
Well, the only other thing was actually building on land that was supposed to be designated as a thing, but I'm not so certain. Let me just, I'm trying to remember the regulations. I didn't know that you could actually propose support if you're then questioning other things from a planning point of view.
We're commenting, we're not.
No, I'm not saying one way or the other. I mean, I generally like the plans. You know, obviously, as a board member, I can comment on it anyway separately. But I've just wondered about those three, you know, support, neutral, object. I'm just wondering whether support allows you to actually comment on things. I thought support was you basically are saying you fully support the project.
No, what I'm saying is that, you know, we fully support the comment, the project, absolutely behind it, but there's obviously things that we'd like to comment on.
No, I'm just talking about planning regulations, the way they like. Normally, when you support something, you're basically saying, "Yeah, I love it," you know, and that's it. You know, nothing.
Colin, have you got any comments on that, please?
Well, Councillor Burns makes a good point, really. It can be confusing, but it doesn't sound like there was anything in that list of things that you felt were fundamentally wrong with the planning application. I noted Councillor Stinchcombe mentioned earlier, of course, that building regulations will ensure that the planning matter, which is absolutely right, it is a planning matter, that noise doesn't cause a disturbance, but the building regs will actually take care of ensuring it doesn't. So I don't think there was a suggestion to object on that ground. So it seems to me there are only observations that are being made. The question, I think, which might help the committee in making, working party in making its decision of whether it supports or is neutral, is if the comments you've made today are ignored, would you feel that the development, when it's finished, isn't as good as it can be? Bear in mind the building regulations will take care of the sound issue.
Okay. Yeah, just one quick point on the land issue around Sports England's concerns. Didn't Mrs. Pelly gift them additional land? Would that counteract the loss of the other part, John? I don't know. She's given, or hasn't yet given, 3 acres or 3 hectares, can never remember which way around it is, of land, but it's not designated for sports. It's planned to be built on. Okay. Eventually.
there may be you know, we don't know what's going to go there, but they haven't decided yet, and the land certainly hasn't been yet donated either.
Okay.
You know, there's no legal requirement for her to do so. This is something that she's doing off the, you know, goodwill of her, you know, fact she owns the land.
Okay. So what I'm gathering is that the general consensus is that we should propose neutral with the comments that we've already made. Is there anyone that would like to propose neutral? Dave, sorry, Liz. Yeah, you both got white tops on, so it's hard to distinguish. That's Liz. Yeah, okay. So we've got a proposal by Liz. Have we got a seconder for that? I'm willing to second. Can we have a show of hands, please? So that's unanimous. Thank you. Right, hand it over to Pat now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you for that. Right, application 2, which is DC 21 23 13 FUL 1 to 3 High Street, small a, new openings on the ground floor, east elevation for 11 windows and 1 door. Small b, infill of doorway on north elevation. Any comments on that at all? Councillor Burns?
Well, this, of course, is the Argos building again. They've just, you know, gone through the process of prior development proposal, which we really can't object to for any reason. And now, of course, they come along with a different planning application to put windows in the side, which we all knew was going to happen anyway. There's a very good comment by, I think it's Highways, about making sure all the windows open internally, because otherwise they're going to be open. People walking past are going to be slammed in their faces by opening windows. It's a real shame these flats have only got 1 window in the whole of the flat. And I suspect they're only doing that probably more from a fire escape purposes. This is supposed to be for vulnerable people, all these things, and you know, all the rooms other than that 1 room are not going to have any natural daylight, and even the natural daylight, of course, we all know is virtually non-existent there because it's in an alleyway. But you know, I don't know how much more you can say about it, but other than that, you know, they look at the look and feel of them looks and feels like the existing windows on the side above on the first floor. So, but and I'll leave it what others people say. That's when I looked at it today. Thank you.
Councillor Sitchcombe, then Councillor Dave Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I hadn't really thought about that point that Councillor Burns has just raised, but I thought the building regs said that each habitable room had to have a minimum, you know, area of window. So I don't really know how they're getting away with, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's a conversion of non-habitable space into habitable space. I would have thought they have to comply with building regs. They can't just sort of say, oh, well, we found it like that. It didn't have any windows, so they're going to have 0 windows, can they? They're putting windows in. I would have thought it was per room that is habitable. There has to be, you know, I don't know what the ratio is between floor area, or I mean, I can't even remember what the basis of it is now, but I'm sure there are requirements. So in a way, we don't have to, again, I don't think we have to worry about it. It will fail. It should fail. It should, fingers crossed, fail if it doesn't comply with building regs. Therefore, in a way, it's not material to planning whether it fails or not, is it? It's like drop curbs, you know. I think, you know, a good proportion of the ones that come through us are destined to fail as far as I can see. But, you know, we kind of ignore that, don't we? We just get on and say, are there material planning considerations? So we can say it would be highly detrimental if, you know, for exactly the reasons that Councillor Burns has mentioned, you know, if this accommodation had so little light, but in a way that shouldn't be a make or break, because building regs could take up the slack there. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Dave Smith. and then Councillor Brown.
Yeah, pick up the point on the windows opening inwards. If they are a fire escape, shouldn't they be opening outwards? I mean, fire doors open outwards, don't they? Isn't there a contradiction there? If that is to be seen as a fire escape route, but I think there is an issue if, as long as the room opens onto a corridor or some sort of hallway, I don't think it needs to be a fire escape. So I'm not 100% sure on there. So I think it being a fire escape may be a bit of a red herring.
Councillor Brown, thank you.
Yeah,
Councillor Stitchcombe.
Yeah. Thanks, Chair. I thought it's quite an interesting point that the Environment Agency raised around it being a flood risk area. And as we know, only a year or so ago, the whole of that area around to the side of that was flooded. I think the whole front of that in 1968 was flooded. Obviously, as more flood defences gone in since then, but obviously they've raised that issue, so hopefully they'll be able to do something around it. But I can't actually see what they will do, because the doors have got to come down to virtually ground level and just have a step going up to try and reduce the risk of flood water going in there. I don't know, but it's something that they obviously are aware of, but I can't see how they're going to get around it, but it's their issue, I suppose.
Thank you. Councillor sorry, Councillor Stitchcombe, and then
Thank you.
Councillor Burns.
Thank you, Chair. I think the reason that fire doors open is if you are rushing to get out, you don't want to be fighting the door, but you don't normally rush out of window, do you? You wait politely to be rescued by a chunky fire person and a ladder, so, they smash the window for you and then they extract you, kind of thing. So it's not, I don't think the same considerations apply. I seem to remember that the flood report, or whatever it's called, that they produced last time we looked at any documentation from them, said that there was only a risk in the 1 in 100 year event, and even then it was only a few millimeters, so for most of the site, and only the most downhill portion of the site. Even then, it all seemed, it wasn't like half a meter or anything like that. So I'm sorry, I didn't read the Environment Agency's comment, but there seems to be a bit of a discrepancy between their flood, the developers' flood report and what the Environment Agency may now be saying. Thank you.
Councillor Burns.
Yeah, I'll take the flood risk first. Basically they're saying that it's up to the local authority to determine if there's a risk. The Environment Agency are not saying there is a risk. They're just saying it is in a flood. It's in a flood risk area, but it's down to the local authority. Then they're not going to make any comments about it. But even the applicant's own application form, where it says, is this in a flood risk area, they've said yes. And as Councillor Brown mentioned, we all know the Stour Brook's only just down on the thing. They are going to be blocking up that back door, which is the old delivery area, put a side door in, which may make it better on the basis it's slightly uphill, if you know what I mean. In terms of the windows, just to to emphasise or to correct myself, there are 2 windows per flat, both facing onto the thing. It was I've just checked, it was the Highways Authority, Peter Bradfield, who said it has to open inwards. I don't know if he's a building regulations expert or fire expert. I don't know. He's obviously a highways expert. I don't know what those regulations are about opening indoors. But so those face onto the thing, onto the alleyway. But of course, it's more the fact is that they're not going to get a lot of natural light there. That's one of my biggest problems. And if these are vulnerable type people, you don't know whether they're being constantly in darkness or having to be lit by lighting is good for their own mental health or whatever I say. But of course we can't, that's not a building reg, building reg or even a planning application side of things. So, but it's, I think the fact they've designed them that they look like existing ones is a good thing. At least they're not just an opening to the side of the wall, but I'm things like the opening, you know, the type of opening, you know, what they are, what you just mentioned about being able to smash them open, Councillor Stinchcombe, is all very, you know, it's a build very piecemeal. This whole application for the whole building is very piecemeal. Thank you.
Councillor Liz Smith.
Yeah, I just want to get a handle on things a bit better. The actual outline planning for the flats, the ground floor flats, has been approved, hasn't it, as far as I'm aware? So obviously with those, they would expect to have some windows, as you said. I think you said 2 per flat now. So it's not as if we can object to have them having windows, I suppose. It's just the way in which these windows are built. We're really looking at, isn't it? I agree with everything basically the other councillors have said. There are some concerns there about that, with the fire escape and opening inwards, and you know, but I just can't see how we can get away with not having any windows there, if you see what I mean. So yeah, that's all I've really got to say. So really, I would have thought neutral, but with some comments.
Yeah, I noticed. I'll come to you, Councillor Burns, because this is relevant to what Councillor Smith has just said. I noticed on the plans that the 3 windows near the high street are sash windows. I can't understand why they've not continued that along the same line with all the rest of the windows, sash windows. Why they've suddenly changed? Because the 3 that are on there already, I presume, are sash windows on the ground floor. So I can't really understand why they haven't continued that on. Still, Councillor Burns.
I was only going to say, did you want to see the picture? Just what you were just mentioning there, actually, about the sash windows, just to remind people what it looks like.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just quickly share that. I think it's that one. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, is that big enough for you?
Yeah, yeah. If you look, because it's done. Yeah, them 3 they've done by the arrows, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Large
to me, they're sash windows, and I can't understand why they haven't done the same all the way along. They're wider as well for any fire escape, sash windows. You can get easily in and out, whereas the windows they're suggesting is just 1. And to be honest, they're not wide enough. If they're similar to what I've got normal, they're just not wide enough if you're thinking about fire escape. Because they'll be double glazed and they're quite tough even to smash them. I know the fire service will smash them right out, but you know, but still thinking, I can't understand why they've not done the sash windows. I really can't. Continue to, you know, they've got sash windows upstairs as well on top of them 3.
But they've, can I just clarify, it does say up there, new windows granted 2 years ago for these ones. So I guess they're just trying to replicate what's upstairs.
Yeah, but they're sash windows, aren't they? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing I was going to mention is I don't know how, without looking at, you know, getting the old ruler out as well, is how wide that door is. Because we know internally there's virtually, you know, it's all corridors and things. I mean, I often wonder how people get furniture in and out of these places. And
also wheelchairs.
And wheelchairs particularly, yeah, because, you know, it has to be minimum 900 mil wide, where that one appears to be wider, but yeah. But that again would be a building reg anyway. Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Okay. What should we do? Should we have comments to this and neutral or what? Can I have a proposer? That we have, that would be the comments that we just said. You got them, Vicky? Yeah?
Can you just clarify exactly what you are commenting on? Because there was a lot of talk, but some was about building regs, which we aren't mentioning. And so there's the sash windows. Why aren't they continued on? Is that one of them?
Yes, please, for me. Yeah, hopefully I'll have agreement with that.
For ease of egress. would be a point to make, wouldn't it? We'd like why, if sash windows, it's not just a stylistic thing, it's for ease of egress.
Yeah, definitely. The door that Councillor Burns just mentioned as well, the size of the door.
Yeah.
Anything else, Councillor Burns?
The other thing I was going to suggest you include is the whether you want to support highways about the inward opening windows and doors. I mean, I don't know the regulations on that, but they've obviously commented on it. They don't want people being walking straight into a window, and
well, sash windows would
well, sash windows would solve it. Yeah.
But maybe it's worth saying
we still could put that comment on what you just said, Councillor Burns, though.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
It's an amenity issue, isn't it, to the public, to other people. Thank you.
Is that it? There's no other that I can think of, is there? No. Okay, Vicky, you got that?
I missed that last comment because my internet cut out. So I heard Councillor Stinchcombe say about ease of ingress, and then you were talking about supporting highways in inward windows, and then I missed the last bit.
Well, it's just a comment that Highway said about the reason why they wanted them going in is because of people hitting themselves as they walk past.
Yeah, so we were suggesting sash windows.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that should be mentioned about what they said, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What Highway said.
What about Councillor Brown's Environment Agency comment?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, yeah, they've already highlighted that anyway, so I'm sure it's on their radar.
We did talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's it, Vicky. Thank you.
So we're proposing.
Councillor Stitchcombe, sorry, Vicky. Councillor Stitchcombe.
I just thought I'd heard Vicky say ingress rather than egress.
Egress.
Yes, you did say egress. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've got those.
Right. Okay. Can I have a proposer then? I think it was Councillor Stitchcombe. Councillor Stitchcombe. Can I have a second of that, please? Councillor Liz Smith. All those in favour, please show. Yep, it's everyone. Thank you for that. Application 3, which is DC 21 229 OUT. Land south of Chapel Farm and Suckling Lane. Means of access and appearance to be considered. One dwelling with associated access. Any comments on this one? Because I've got a few. Councillor Burns?
Two things I was thinking. The design and access statement says it's not going to really affect Chapel Farm Cottage, which is the grade 2 listed building, but we've been building lots of stuff up there, and every time someone builds something, it says it's not going to affect the cottage. And conservation always see that this particular one that says, oh, it's lower down the hill, if you like. So it's not going to, but it's basically in the back garden of Chapel Farm Cottage. The other one, which is an interesting one from Highways, is about the visibility spline again. They don't seem to make a lot of, in the design and access statement again, they're sort of suggesting that Anne Suckling Lane is or road, whichever way you want to call it, is quite a quiet, nice, not very much in the terms of traffic. But of course, if Persimmon have their way, and it becomes a open road, it will not be that anymore. It will be a bus route. It will be a major road going into that big development. And also forgetting about Boyton Hall and the Boyton Estate as well. So, and we already know there's problems up there with parking and everything else. So things like the visibility spline, I'm actually surprised it's not there in the outline, because this is all about means of access. Not about what's going on there specifically, but about means of access, which is always the big problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, I was going to also comment on the future traffic that's going to be coming on that road there. It doesn't seem to be accounted for. It also seems to be just plonked down in this narrow bit of land right up against the neighbour's boundary. and I just think it's been squeezed in a bit. Yeah, it's just shoehorned in. It looks a bit to me. Looks a bit contrived.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot to say on this. I agree with what Highways have recommended, all their recommendations. I also agree with the environmental team in having a 7.4 kilowatt consumer unit and an electricity supply charge point capable of providing 7.4 charge. But the main thing of this is the size of the land. The standard size of land for building houses is 5 per acre. This piece of land is 350 square meters, or 0.0865 of an acre. Now that's equivalent of having 11.5 houses per acre instead of 5. Also, the size of the house as well. Bear with me, sorry, my phone's gone off. The size of the house is well, the planner, the planning of that gives us in the statement that they give says it's compact. I agree with him there. But what I disagree with him, it says that it calls it a good size 2 to 3 bedroom property with adequate amenity space and adequate off-street parking provision. If it's a 2 bedroom, yes. If it's 3 bedroom, no. And the size of the house, what I've measured on the measuring bit that it gives you, is 10 meters by 7.5 meters, which is 75 square meters, the whole house. The average size 3 bedroom in the UK is 185 square meters, not 75 square meters. And with the smallest size average house, the smallest size of this average of 185 square meters is 150. So that's exactly half of the smallest size house. So it's a very, very tiny house in a very tiny plot of land. Thank you for that, Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I was just thinking when you're comparing those sizes of the square meters of the floor, I think when you were doing the measurement, were you just basing it on the ground floor of the existing house, or the house rather that you're looking at on the plans? But
yeah, on the size that they give, I was doing it, and I was just doing it of a rough, you know, what you know, because the trouble is with doing that is that you can adjust the screen and it alters it. Yeah. But I was just giving it what come up on the screen.
Yeah, were you doing it on just the plan of the ground floor? Because you'd have to consider the second floor as well. Because when you look at the average square meterage of an average house, you're talking about both floors, aren't you? So if it's 10 by 7 on the ground floor and it's the same size above, it's twice that, isn't it? The amount of square meterage of the house. So I think saying 75 and then 185 is not an accurate comparison, if you see what I mean.
Very good point there, which I didn't do, and that's why I'm not very good at these things when I'm doing measuring. So it's still a minimum. It's 150.
It's about 150.
Yeah, which is a minimum.
By 7. Yeah, it's about 150 square meterage, and that's still less than the average.
Yeah, that's the smallest. That's the smallest you can get, but the average is 185. But I'm also saying about the size of the land as well, which is very, very tiny. And there's not adequate amenity space there as well. Councillor Brown, and then Councillor Smith.
Yeah. Thanks, Chair. It's more of an observation, really. Is that you know, when I was young, growing up, I always remember Boyton Hall standing up on that northern hill overlooking the town. It used to stand out. To me, that whole area is now overdeveloped. It's, yeah, today I was looking at it from my yard in Withersfield over towards there, and I was pretty gobsmacked because I haven't been there for a couple, I haven't sort of worked in the yard for a couple of months, and I sort of happened to glance over to there, and I'm crikey, you know, it's just within the last few months, you know, all on that top part there, the Persimmon developing, it's just really starting to, you know, change the skyline, you know, up there, you know, dramatically. I mean, it used to be lovely rolling countryside with, you know, Boyton Hall just standing this isolated house up there, and you know, now it's just lost amongst, you know, the background, you know, which is a bit of a shame, but you know, I presume that's just development. But I would say that I think, you know, that has been squeezed in, you know, amongst a lot of other, you know, buildings that have been sort of squeezed onto that site. So, you know, that's just an observation, really.
Thank you for that. Councillor Smith, Dave Smith.
That's okay. It's been covered. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Personally, I would like to object on, you know, the size. It's overdevelopment. It's not enough for amenity area there. It's a minimal size for house. Also, the parking, if it's a 3-bedroom, won't be large enough. Won't be big enough because there's only 2 parking spaces. But as I say, I personally, I think we should object to this. Is there any other comments at all? Councillor Burns?
The only other thing, it's very difficult because obviously this is in the residential area of the town. Is the design and access statement? I think it's that. I think it was the design access statement. Says it talks about infill. Now, infill normally is between buildings. This is actually on the edge of a series of individual buildings. You know, the applicant is from the cottage. It is basically in their back garden. And
I'm reminding you.
Hang on a sec, sorry.
Pick up tablets.
Sorry. I think it is contrived. It's trying to squeeze it in there.
I'm reminding you.
Sorry. So it's and again, we don't know how big that building is going to be. You know, it's only means of access. You know, they could end up putting a 5-bedroom house on there, and it's going to be even worse. And I think you've got to look at that, and maybe your objection may be the right way to go. I don't know, but and that's up to you, of course. I think the whole thing needs to be looked at. We seem to be having all kinds of piecemeal development up there, suggesting that we need the housing when we're building 3,500 houses anyway. So I don't know how you deal with that one. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other comments at all? Right, Vicky, we've got the proposer, which is me, objecting on the grounds that it's Councillor Smith.
Sorry, I was just going to second you. That's all, Pat.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, on the grounds of it's overdevelopment of the area. It's that the area's amenities is too small. The house that they're proposing is minimal, which is not large enough really, and parking spaces, if it's a 3-bedroom, so we don't know, it's got 2/3. If it's a 3-bedroom, there won't be enough. Is everyone in agreement with that? Well, I think that's it, isn't it? There's no other thing that we could put down at all. Councillor Burns said.
There was a comment about visibility spline.
Ah, who was that? Who commented on visibility?
Councillor Burns.
That was just supporting that the highways comments. So I'm desperately trying to find.
Yeah, I mentioned highways. I must admit.
Yeah, but they also One was the visibility spline. It's a 30-mile-an-hour road. If I vaguely remember, has to be 43 meters, I believe.
Yeah.
And then the chief engineering technician at the thing asked for means of prevent surface water discharge in the highway, secure cycle storage, and also what I think was it the environment team mentioned about electric vehicle infrastructure.
Yeah, they also mentioned electric vehicle. Yeah.
And coming out onto what is actually going to be quite a major route.
Yeah.
In theory,
yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, and that as well.
Okay.
Okay. Proposer is me, the chair, and seconder is Councillor Liz Smith. All those in favour, please show. That's everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Is that okay? Yeah. No one spoke. No. I heard something go, and that's what made me look up. Right. Application 4, which is DC 21-2352 HH. This is 44 Brickfield Drive. Small A, single story rear extension. Small B, new window to side elevation of existing dwelling. Is there any comments on this one, please? No? Councillor John Burns?
Only that it's just basically, I think, a garden or sunroom or something like that at the back of the building. I think if it was extra bedrooms and things, I think you'd be starting talking about lack of parking at Brickfields Drive, as we know. Awful up on that estate. How it was ever built like that, I don't know. But that would be my only thought. So if anyone wants to see the plans, I've got them available.
Thank you. Councillor Dave Smith?
Yeah, it's just extending the ground floor into their back garden a bit. Other than that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it really, is there? I'll propose neutral.
Thank you. Yeah, it's sort of an infill, really, isn't it? It's level with another piece that sticks out. Right. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Neutral. Councillor Liz Smith. Thank you. All those in favour, please show. Yep, that's everyone. Thank you. Right, back to the agenda now, which is item 8, which is matters to report. Councillor John Burton.
So I better go very quickly, otherwise you'd only miss me. Just very quickly, I'm keeping an eye on what's happening on the Great Wheelsey. Obviously, the road is shut at the moment, as we know, due to a burst water main up where they were working. Unfortunately, they took away all the traffic lights, and then promptly the water main was found last night. I'm looking at it from a mud on the road type situation. They do have a road sweeper going up there, but I notice it's getting worse and worse, particularly as they're now digging out tons and tons of meat. Meat? I don't mean meat. What's it called? Mud. Tons of mud for the roundabout side of things, and it appears to be flowing down Millfields Way down to the main part of Millfields Way, if you know what I mean, down there. So just to put that down, if I'll keep an eye on it over Christmas and everything, and see what happens early in the new year.
Yeah, thank you for that, Councillor Burns. I'm just a bit worried that the mud will flow down the hill and block the drains down there. Yeah, down near the bottom. That's the worry, really. They're
not bad. They're keeping a lot on top of it, but we probably need some decent rain as well to come along and get rid of it. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair. Have they got a wheel wash there, John? Have they?
They have got it's a manual wheel wash at the moment until they get a bit more there, but they're not taking any mud off the site. It's just flowing off the site, so it is only lorries that are going in that. But they've also concreted the roadway in there. They initially had a mud one, but they found the lorries couldn't get up the slope, so they've actually built it in with a roundabout type thingy, turning circle over towards the east. They spent a lot more money on that. But the primary thing at the moment is the roundabout, and I think that's generating it as it just happens to be naturally flowing down. it's not bad, but it's just I do notice a couple of times, you know, you go down there and you're driving along there and you think, oh, the old wheels are, you know, skidding a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, be careful. That's dangerous. Someone smashed into me while I was going along there and coming down that hill, side of my car. So it is a bit dangerous going down that hill. It's quite steep. Councillor Steve Smith.
Just a quick update on some of the plans we've had approved previously. Obviously, the main one would be 27 Clements Lane, which, you know, is looks like it's going to be demolished anyway. The council decided there wasn't a decision to be made, no decision required, so they didn't actually approve it. They just decided it wasn't for them to adjudicate on. 27 Hazel Close have been approved. You know, I did put another objection into it as the ward councillor, overdevelopment, but they decided that was fine. That's the one where they're building into the roof space. And other than that, the one at Rosebank in Burton End, which has been refused because of the impact on the amenities for the existing residents and future residents. Other than that, not a lot to report there.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it's a shame. I'll come to you, Councillor Brown. Thank you. Yeah, it's a shame because that building wasn't worth Clements Lane one. Wasn't, you know, it wasn't derelict. It was quite sound. It's strange. That really, I just can't understand planning laws sometimes. Councillor Brown.
Yeah, ditto on that one, Pat. But going back to Hazel Close, because they've withdrawn the veranda there, then is that back on again now? Is it, Dave? Or yeah. And the other comment that I did look for delegation stuff on there, and the planning officer said basically all our concerns around all the shenanigans that have been going on with the fires and all the antisocial stuff that was reported there. Yeah, they sort of poo-pooed that and said, oh, well, enforcement can deal with that. Well, you know, why the heck haven't they, you know, been? And likewise on all the other, you know, issues around the town. You know, it's appalling, really, you know. Yeah,
they've got a don't care attitude to me. It's very, very strong, really, coming over to me. That it's, you know, it seems like they're struggling, and they've, you know, they feel that it's too much for them now, and they just don't care.
Yeah, and West Suffolk Council planning officers are fully aware that enforcement isn't up to standard, and you know, for them to actually say, oh well, you know, our enforcement team can do with that when they know damn well that they won't, is you know, to me is really galling.
Or can't, you know, they're mostly a team so minor now, and obviously because of the joint into West Suffolk, there's two authorities now. They just haven't got the staff, I don't think, and that's the big problem. Councillor Burns.
Well, I think Councillor Brown just probably said it, and I don't want to keep repeating myself, but enforcement is one of the worst things we have in West Suffolk. You know, how many times we keep asking for data from them, they keep failing to do it. They make every excuse under the sun. But they've got to remember they're actually called planning enforcement. They're not a completely separate department or anything else like that. They're part of the planning team, and they don't do it. In terms of 27 Clements Lane and other applications, and I will say this, I think there are some weak planning officers in West Suffolk who are willing to take the easy way out. We've seen it on several other applications in the town, where the town council's got very valid objections, whether it's prior approval or not. You know, the one at 27 Clements Lane, we have to remember it went through planning, it went to an appeal where it was rejected. So all they've done is given us half the same application, and the planning officer says, yeah, that's fine. Well, actually, why are you not fighting the case for us? Easy life, I think sometimes they want. You know, these people are highly paid people, they need to do their job. Some of them are really good, but others are, you know, and often when I hear applications like this, I will ask somebody else or look it up and say, and I can always guess who the officer will be. And that's a criticism of officers. Perhaps I'm not allowed to do that. I don't know, but I will. But I think I think it's a shame that we don't have the same level of support for our town council and our members and our residents from everybody. We've seen it. We saw it with the what is now the Churchill retirement homes, the appeal that I mentioned before. You know, we send a planning officer, they send a whole members of 5 QCs and experts. You know, we wonder why we lose the appeal.
Yeah.
Same with the epicenter. You know, same sort of things all the time. But enforcement are, yeah, I mean, I don't know how many you've put in, but I put in loads of enforcement things in here. 4, 5, 6 years later, they still haven't done anything about them. And they tried to say, oh, well, you know, the usual answer is, oh, well, if they made an application, we would probably approve it. But you keep saying they haven't made an application. So why are you not doing anything? So I think it's a shame about 27 Clements. I understand about the Rosebank one. I fully agreed with that one personally, but yeah, it's a shame. Anyway.
Yeah, fully agree.
Yeah.
Fully agree, Councillor Burns. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, sorry, come back again. A quick one on that enforcement. Maybe it's something that we should look to put in front of the scrutiny committee. You know, really getting. Yeah, John, you think so? Yeah.
Yeah, you're on, but you're an ONS, aren't you?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not an ONS, so yeah.
No, but I say it's something.
Yeah,
really,
no, I agree.
I'm pretty gobsmacked thinking about it. It hasn't been on there anyway all these years.
Well, you know, Councillor Smith and myself are on the planning committee on development control, and I don't know how many times we ask for an update on enforcement. We get them virtually every month on appeals, but when we ask for enforcement information, we never get it. I don't know whether Councillor Smith's got any answer, any thoughts on that. No, okay.
Yeah, okay, Councillor Brown, that'd be really good to bring that up in scrutiny committee. Really good. I think we've written, Vicky. Can I have your help? Have we written about to West Suffolk about enforcement?
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can mention that, Councillor Brown, as well, that we have written to them as a town council about the enforcement not being done.
I just want to say, Councillor Hammond, that we're not alone in this town. Other places around the whole of West Suffolk have exactly the same problems. So we're not.
Yeah, I think their mental health is not being helped by giving them so much to do for so little amount of people. Maybe, you know, I don't know for sure, and hopefully the scrutiny committee will find this out. You know, something needs to be done. Right, okay, thank you for that. Item 9, which is the date of next meeting, which is Monday the 24th of January, and that should be 2022, not 2021. Okay, Vicky, do you hear that? Another sort of amendment on that one. Anyway, happy Christmas to you all, and joyful New Year. Let's hope this living COVID thing is done away with in the new year, which I doubt if it is. But as I say, let's hope that, you know, we'll be much fitter in the new year, and really happy Christmas. And I'd like to thank you, Vicky, and Colin as well, for all what you've done throughout the year. Right,
thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to everybody as well.
Yeah.